Welcome back. Have you ever had one of those days when one little thing just ruins your mood for the entire day? Why is it so hard to shake that frustration or that anger? Well, experts say it's because we're actually wired that way, but there are ways to turn things around. We decided it is a perfect time to dive into this for Real Talk. We have Kara Kinnear, of course, stress therapist Sherry Flake, and radio personality Joyce Littell. Welcome, ladies.
Happy New Year. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
I'm so excited. What a great panel to dive into this. It really is tough. I mean, according to psychologists, we tend to give greater weight to the negative than the positive. It is what's known as negativity bias. They say it's nature's way of assuring that we don't get lulled into complacency and succumb to avoidable dangers. I'd rather not have that. Not have the negativity bias.
Right.
But seriously, what do you think about the fact that we are wired that way? Don't you feel like there are days that you really just can't snap out of it? Our brain just takes over.
Girl, when you all called me about this show and I saw the topic, I'm like, what are they thinking? They were in my head.
Yes.
Because one of the things, I'm thankful that I have taken on a new position. And when you are the boss lady, as what I've become,
What's the new position?
Yes. I am now the interim PD and soon to be the PD of WAOK, which is our talk station on intercom.com.
Yes,
and
congratulations.
So you know you're going to get the negative first. You got to get that first. And then you got to figure out, now, how do you handle it, be the boss, but yet and still let them know that you still can bring certain things to you. Because the bottom line is you want the day to go good. You want your position to be, you know, like, yeah, we got the right person to do it. But it can be difficult sometimes.
It really can.
Prayer got to come in the picture.
And, prayer and flipping the switch on the mindset. And Sherry, what do you think about this?
Well, I think before, you know, we sort of want to control our thoughts, we need to kind of understand them first and where they're coming from. You know, we're not born with these like MacBook 2019 brains, right? So we come with like, you know, every 20,000 years or so we have some other part of our brain to deal with, and we're still dealing with DOS. You know, back in. If I'm sitting there like cutting carrots and my daughter walks by, well, that part of my brain doesn't know how to talk to that part of my brain, so it'll send up a picture of like a bloody hand. And I think, oh my gosh, why would I think that? What kind of mother am I? What does this mean? And it doesn't mean anything. It means my brain is sending a message up that says, hey, knives are dangerous. That's it. That's all it means. It doesn't mean anything. And so if you understand kind of what's going on, that's not you. Your brain was wired up to think, and sameness equals safety, so it wants you to keep thinking the same things all the time, even if they're negative.
Even if they're negative.
Yeah, and so you have to kind of be like, oh, thanks for that. I'll be careful with my knife. And if you kind of acknowledge it, it will go away, which is, I think, the shocking part, because we try so hard to avoid.
Stay away from it.
And if you actually let it in and say, hi, thought, well, thank you for that little DOS little message. It goes all the way up Microsoft 2.0 or whatever, and I'm finally like, that's an alarming picture, but okay, I got it.
So it's more about understanding it rather than ignoring it, or because I think that ignoring it sometimes feeds it. Kara, do you feel like, as Kara and I see each other first thing in the morning with, you know, kids drama or work, whatever's happening, or maybe you spill coffee all over. So do you find, is it easier, you're a positive person, but do you ever have those moments where it is easier, you feel like, just to be negative and stay in that negative?
Yeah, sure. I thought it was called Catholic guilt, which I also had my whole life.
Me too.
But my husband actually has been very instrumental in helping me retrain that thought process. Like I always used to think, well, if something positive happened, then there's something negative that's right around the corner. Like this, I'm in a good, I know.
It's terrible. I'm the same way.
And he is so matter of fact about things that in some ways it's like there's, like I wish there was more emotion to it, but there's not. And that's been really good for me, because he's like, that's ridiculous. Like, no, good things that you can get in the good thing lane and keep on driving. You don't have to hit like the potholes.
So when you're in the negative space, do you think, oh my gosh, it's about to get really good?
I don't anymore, but yes, like now I'm like, it's, I just like to feel good, so let's keep on the positive
You're
train.
not waiting for the shoe to drop.
But I think it also comes with age. You know, when you get to a certain age, you just choose not to let certain things bother you. And I think in my case, that's where I'm becoming. happening, and that's where I've come. It's to just not let a certain thing bother me.
I think that's easier said than done, though, because I feel like at almost 50, I still feel like I can get bogged down in the when is the shoe going to drop, or maybe I don't deserve this happiness or this positivity, and that's a really, like, where does that stem from? That's a topic to dive into. Catholic guilt, who knows? But if you are feeling that way and you really do have a tough time, as I do sometimes, as we all do, of shifting that mindset, there are some steps that we can take. Number one, and this kind of goes back to what you're saying, Sherry, isolate the event. One of the reasons we're so affected by a singular negative event is we start imagining all the ways it's going to impact the future. Experts say, ask yourself what evidence that you have that this negative thing will lead to more negative events. Remind yourself that you can't cope with something in advance of something being there to cope with.
Well, you're also not a mind reader or a fortune teller.
Right.
I mean, you know.
What can I control?
Right.
I
and I also think, like, I think the more, of course, you guys know I'm going to mention this, but I do think the more that you meditate, the better you'll get at it.
I know.
Of being able to separate yourself from that and be like, oh, that's not me. That's just a thought I'm having. You cannot believe everything you think. I mean, that's a fundamental way
That's
to
really good.
I mean, you got to gain some control of what you want to penetrate your brain. You have to do that, or else you're going to walk around crazy and stressed out all day long.
The time.
And you don't always know what's best. I mean, like, if no one looks at their life and says, oh my gosh, that thing I just went through was so easy and I'm forever changed because of it. Like, if you don't have, you know, the way that we become who we are is
experiences.
And by overcoming obstacles. And if you don't have any and you have a cushy life, Kim Kardashian, you might pick up like a bad boyfriend or whatever, or have like a drug problem and not be able to get through it, Whitney Houston, or recover, Stevie Nicks. Like, you never know, right? Like, and then they come out of it and they say that was the best thing that ever happened to me because you become who you are. And so it's not always so bad that, like, my kid is crushed today over the spelling bee, because now he's going to know what it's like, and it's going to be a triumph when he has a little more success next time or whatever.
Well, it's like you can control so much, and then the rest of it is you can't depend on things to just happen to you. Like, things happen for you, and those decisions and those choices that you make accumulate up into the point that you are at, right? So you have to take some personal responsibility.
Yeah, and that way you can think, like, I can think about this or not think about this. You do have a choice. Sometimes,
there's a learning. There's a learning. My mother used to tell us all the time, you learn something from everything. Whether it's good or bad or indifferent, you're gonna learn something from it.
Right.
And so, and that's what, you know, I try to live my life by. No matter what I can or cannot control, I'm gonna learn from it.
Right.
You know?
That's actually the second point, and that is your mom clearly had a mantra. You know, experts say, find that phrase, say it to yourself all the time, whether it's this too shall pass, or
things have a way of working out.
Yes, things have a way.
Don't let man steal your joy.
Yes,
that is
yours?
mine. That's
is that
mine.
yours?
Yes,
Don't let man
steal your joy.
What about yours, Sherry?
I think things have a way of working out perfectly. I'm not always right about what exactly needs to happen. And sometimes when you relinquish a little bit of that control, it turns out even better than you can imagine.
Right. What do you think,
I'm like,
Sarah? I
was like thinking, like, right now. Do it to others, as you would have done to you. No, but I mean, I think it is important to have, obviously, like, a code of ethics that you live by that's succinct, that you can say to yourself to remind you to stay positive.
All is well is a simple, easy one to start with.
You have to go into a moment sometimes. You're like, okay, Joyce, let's pull this back and figure out how you gonna do it. So you have to go into a moment.
Reel it back in.
Reel it back, because you know there could be a moment you can dive right in, but you have to say, no, this is not that situation.
I have a good one. I really like to remind myself if I'm having a rough day or I'm having to deal with a lot of people, I'll say, meet people where they are. I say that to myself a lot. Because meet people where they are, because everybody's situation is relatives to what they're going through.
That's perfect.
So that
I love
helps.
that. All right, number 3 is cut yourself some slack. Chances are that for everything that went wrong, there are a handful of things that went right.
I really want to say one thing about this. I think that, I mean, not everything has to be like CrossFit out, okay? Like we know now, we're certain, and in my business, we know that if you are kinder to yourself when you are trying to change something like your attitude or your day or whatever, you are more successful. That is absolutely 100% true. So you need to talk to yourself like your bestie would. Right. You know what I mean? And it's not just a Facebook, you know, update or whatever, an Instagram, nice little journey. It's the journey or whatever. Right. It is truth. The kinder you are to yourself, the more success you're going to have. And think about it. I mean, your brain doesn't know the difference between someone else talking to you and you talking to you. It doesn't know the difference. Right. And so if I came up to you and I was like, well, it's probably because like everything's going to suck for you and you're going to have a horrible weekend and you just ruined everything. Like, does that motivate you? Do you feel better? No. And so it's the same thing to your brain. It's the exact same thing. It doesn't know the difference. Remember, it's DOS.
Right. It's DOS. I love that. Okay, this one is great too. Utilize positive distractions. The goal is to come up with a positive distraction that you can call on in a moment's notice to break that cycle of negativity. Is there something or someone that can pull you out of it? I will say, to your point about age, I think it's I've come a long way, because as an emotional person, which I've always kind of hated that about myself, because I can be too emotional. Like, I can be having a not so great day, or something could be going on. It's actually happening today, and I know that I can't not be there 100% for this job. So in a way, well, sometimes I'm like, oh, I really just wish I could go home and put on my sweats. This is a great distraction, because I got to be there for my job and for the viewers and for you. So in this case, work is actually a great positive distraction. What's your positive, or who is your positive distraction?
Well, coloring. I mean, that's something that oh Lord, yes, I enjoy coloring. And when I had more time, I colored more. But lately, you know, when I need to detox and figure out my day and how I prep myself for the next day, I sit in my little chair at home and I pull my, you know, coloring books out and I color.
I want to color. Next time I come, I'll bring you some of my arrange flowers. We're going to color and arrange flowers. Okay, and quickly, you guys, who is a distraction, or what is a good positive distraction for you?
Well, I'm kind of focused on other people all day in my practice, and so it's really easy for me to do that with my kids. I could color with my kids, or do whatever, get focused on whatever's going on with them.
An ice cold beer. Can I
let's get real.
Say that.
Nice cold beer works every time.
A nice craft
I can't imagine you ever being negative. This is so. I know, like, oh, I'm so negative. I'm like, what?
Seriously, I hardly ever be negative. I mean, like 0 to 1.
I honestly was like, when you came in, I'm like, why would they have her on? That's so positive.
That's something that I've come into age, and even growing up, I'm still like that. You know, my mother's watching, and she's gonna smile for this. But I think I'm a product of her. And she's just not a negative woman.
Oh, that's kind of.
And I saw the joy that she's had in her life and the way that she's lived. I'm like, I like that.
I get it.
I want to do that.
I get it. My mom is the exact same way.
I hate that we're out of time. We can continue this on Facebook, and please weigh in. What is your go-to for breaking that cycle of negativity? We would love to be inspired by your thoughts as well. And thank you, panel.
Thank you.
Always brighten my day.